More now in the face-off between Occupy Wall Street protesters and police in New York. Tonight, there are reports of at least 164 more arrests, some of them on the Brooklyn Bridge. That's on top of at least 177 arrests earlier today. And some of the clashes have been bloody. Thousands of protesters have turned out to mark the 2-month anniversary of the movement. The crowds and police presence have grown all evening. Earlier today, protesters tossed aside barriers around Zuccotti Park in the heart of the financial district. That's where they'd been camping until Wednesday morning when police evicted them. The state Supreme Court upheld the ban. New York Congressman Peter King has been a fierce critic of the protesters. Here's what he said after they were banned from living in the park.
First of all, you try to listen to them, and they make almost no sense. These are people who are living in dirt. These were people who were involved with drugs. There were violence. There was rape. They're frustrated. Life is full of frustration. You know, they should go see a psychiatrist if they're that frustrated. They're angry people. They're angry people who are losers, who are on the outside and screaming. If they want to get involved, go into the system. Get involved. Come up with concrete proposals. You don't do it by living in dirt. You don't do it by carrying out rapes, and you don't do it by carrying out and chanting anti-American slogans.
Congressman King made those comments yesterday, caught a lot of attention. I spoke to him earlier tonight. Congressman King, you've been quoted as saying the Occupy Wall Street protesters are, quote, basically anti-American in tone. Do you stand by that? What do you mean?
I certainly do. First of all, I think the mayor was totally right in having them evicted. And also the way they conducted themselves, the anti-Semitic remarks that were being made. And also I've said that just the way the entire tone of the demonstration at Zuccotti Park, living in their own feces and urine, assaults that were carried out. To me, there was nothing admirable at all about these demonstrators. This is nowhere comparable to me, Gandhi or Martin Luther King. To me, it was just an anarchy-type group.
Well, first of all, the supporters of this say, well, look, Gandhi took many, many years to hone his message and get to the point that people now think of as the man as Gandhi, and that you're talking about maybe isolated incidents here and there, but overall, you know, the vast majority of these protests have been peaceful, and people are just expressing themselves.
Well, I'm not saying they weren't peaceful, even though today, obviously, a number of them did violate the law, and 175 were arrested. I'm talking about the conditions at Zuccotti Park, the 2 months to have people living in their own feces and urine. It was filthy, it was dirty. The health department in the city felt there was a chance of disease spreading. And again, to me, any group that wants to be taken seriously should not be conducting itself that way. To me, there was absolutely nothing about them that would resonate with the American people. There was no real message coming from them. And to me, there were people living in their own filth. I don't see why the media or anyone took them seriously. I
guess supporters then would say that you're pointing to specific examples. The anti-Semitism thing, there was an exchange that was shown online. Somebody had videotaped on a camera cell phone. But isn't, I mean, a lot of people would say that's the same thing that maybe was done to the Tea Party early on, that people took isolated pictures of signs and said, well, look, they're all calling for X, Y, or Z.
Again, if you looked at Zuccotti Park, there was nothing isolated about the conditions in which these people wanted to live. To me, there was absolutely nothing there that was resonant with, again, with middle America, if you will. I didn't see the purpose. I had no idea why the media was covering it the way it was. You have really a tiny, tiny percentage of people taking over a park, sleeping in a park, sleeping in their own feces and urine, and that somehow became a national movement. I just don't see the logical basis for that. And I don't see the nexus between what they were doing and anything else. To me, it was a group of malcontents.
If they did start to field candidates, or if if it moved beyond just actually occupying a physical space, is that something? A, is that something you can imagine happening? And B, is that something that you think there would be any value in happening?
If they feel strongly about political views, absolutely get involved in the political system, run candidates, go out, have peaceful demonstrations, become part of the process.
Their general argument seems to be that there's a tremendous disparity when it comes to individual wealth in this country, and that corporations have gotten too greedy, too cozy with Washington. Do you agree with any of that?
There's always certain things you can agree with. Listen, I'm a person, I don't own any corporate stock myself at all. And I'm not one who is necessarily that partisan or Republican for that matter. But the fact is that whether you not think there's so much wealth here or there's so much power in unions, I mean, some people think there's so much power in public employee unions, others think there's so much corporate power. The fact is you fight that out in the political world. You don't occupy a park.
They say this is civil disobedience.
Well, I don't consider civil disobedience to be violating other people's rights. For instance, the people who live near Zuccotti Park, who had to listen to drums and bugles all night, people who had small businesses down there that were losing money and had to lay people off because of the tumult that was being created there. I don't think it's right to be attacking police officers. Maybe I have a bias. My father was in the NYPD for over 30 years. But to have police officers having to have stuff thrown at them, to have people breaking down barricades, once you start, there's a difference between a peaceful civil disobedience where you may sit down, not charging, not going through barricades. That to me is not peaceful disobedience. What happened today was not in any way peaceful. It wasn't civil. It was violation of the law.
Congressman Peter King, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Anderson, thank you very much.